The weirdest thing that I experienced was at some point, Ryan is like, close your eyes. That's the shaman. He's like, close your eyes and you'll still be able to see. I know, right? He's like,
Steve. Shaman's name is Ryan.
My name is Ryan McGillicuddy, and today I will guide you.
So he's not Native American born. He's like certified by the Native American church that he's part of, right?
Okay, you talked about psychedelics. What do you take? Mushrooms?
So there's a documentary coming up that you'll be able to watch on YouTube on a channel. Mike Klum is the guy who filmed it with me, and like I've seen some of the clips. It's hysterical. I think it's really interesting. And we were looking for something to do during the 7 days he was staying here. And I'm like, hey, I know this is a Native American shaman who wants to like help me. And I don't know exactly what he wants to do, but he wanted me to like talk to him. And so we did 5 milligrams of penis envy mushrooms out in the middle of a forest on like this special land with a waterfall and stuff.
You probably mean 5
grams. 5 grams.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
5 grams,
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep saying milligrams, but yes, 5 grams of penis envy. And you can see all of this in the documentary. Like I hope, I know he's going to include this part. But you can see like the handful of dose. You can watch me eat it and everything. And then
how'd that go for you?
It went great, man. I died, which was, do you want to hear like the scientific or more like the spiritual?
No, I just want to know what you saw and felt.
I saw the fractals of the universe. That was really cool. Like the fractals that make up everything.
What was your environment like? Were you in a bed? Were you in a teepee?
We were in the middle of the woods, and I was in like a shitty lawn chair from Walmart, like one of those foldable chairs, I think. And it was near a lake, near a waterfall, and the ground was like super muddy, so I was like really afraid to get up. Thank God, because otherwise I'm sure it would have wandered. And then I saw like the ether that we all came from, and then I realized we were all the universe, and the universe is all us, and we are all intertwined, and we should be like not shit at each other if we could. And I also died during the experience, which was neat. And I'm pretty certain I know what death is like.
What do you mean by that?
I completely left my body. Like my body was in one place and my brain was elsewhere. My spirit or my consciousness left. And I pissed myself because while I was out of my body. As I was coming back into it, I realized I'd pissed myself. So that was neat. All of that's in the thing. Then the second
trip,
the
title.
Boogie pisses himself. The second trip was 2 weeks ago, and I think it's going to be my last. But we did a probably irresponsible amount of MDMA.
I've never done that. So is that a psychedelic MDMA?
Apparently. Apparently, yeah. If you
MDMA,
take
we're talking about
Molly or ecstasy.
Ecstasy.
So it was actually
Molly since college.
That was the one that made me realize just what a sensational asshole I've been over the last few years, and it really made me like self-reflect on a lot of the decisions I've made and a lot of the harm that I think I've done inadvertently. And but I think what it really taught me more than anything is a lesson that I think Wings needs to learn, which is I realized that I'd sought comfort my whole life because I had like a rough start, right? And by seeking comfort, I created my own personal hell. And that's a shitty way to live. So it's much better to do the hard stuff now so you can have an easier life later than it is to try to have an easy life now. And that's my biggest regret. And if I can teach people that through that documentary or through this fighting or through my YouTube channel or being on the show or something like that, I think that's cool. I think you don't have to do these psychedelics. In fact, I don't recommend it unless you have a shaman or a doctor or someone who can like walk you through this. Don't do this shit recreationally. Do this shit with a professional.
Taylor, do you have a shaman hat?
I could buy one, man.
Do you have a shaman accent? That's all
if you got the accent in the hat, then that's all you need. Because I really want to go.
I imagine I could just do Native American.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
The same. I am a medicine man, and I'm a future teller, and the future tells me in a few years we're about to get blown the fuck out by some people way over across the sea. You're gonna show up with shit that goddamn we aren't even close to. Avoid ways ahead on the tech tree.
The way you phrase that, it sounds like you've had some psychedelic experiences, have you? What have you done?
Woody's done.
You talking to me or Taylor?
Yeah, Woody, or any of you.
Me, I've done 2 things. I've done mushrooms. They didn't have a name though or anything, but you know, psychedelic mushrooms. And under the guidance of like therapist and whatnot, I did ketamine
Yeah. I really wanted to do that as well.
So the
You can order
ketamine,
it.
I think, was 5 times. It might have been 6, but it was one of those. And that was a really good experience.
Can you speak to its efficacy? Like, did it help?
What was that last word? The hope?
Like efficacy? Did it help?
Oh, did it help?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it really did. So I've talked about on the show before. So quickly, they give you a dose based on like, your previous drug experience and the size of you. And then you take it and you say, all right, this is what it was for me. And what it was for me the first time was like, I felt it. I felt like I was happy and covered and sort of like on a warm slip and slide as I sort of got together with my thoughts, and there was no second guessing. All of my thoughts, everything that I was thinking was right according to me. It's like, these are the realizations. This is what Colin needs. This is what Jackie needs. This is what fills my bucket. These are the things that I was trying to work out. And there was no, but that doesn't happen on ketamine. And ketamine, all your ideas are genius. And afterwards I wrote them down and everything. And I told her, hey, it worked. And I felt it. It was a good vibe. But kind of like if you're a little drunk and then your parents come downstairs, suddenly you're like not drunk. You can push it down. It's like, I don't want to be able to push it down. I want to be so drunk that it's like, Mom, I'm so drunk. That's where I want to be. So they nearly doubled my dose. I want to say, don't get caught up on the numbers, but maybe it went from like 250 to 400, like something like that. And then the next 4 or 5 trips were that much more hardcore, and every one of them was a positive experience. And thumbs up. Expensive. I think I paid $1,200 for 6 trips.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
A hit of acid's $10.
Yeah. I mean, mine was free, so it can't be free.
A hit of acid's $10, but like where I am, one, I have no idea where I could find acid. And 2, if I did, I don't have like a friend group to be the tour guide to tell me what a dose is, what to expect.
I bet you know a guy who rides recklessly who probably could take care of you there.
Yeah,
actually, a lot of my motorcycle friends aren't super local. They're like 6 hours away.
So you didn't get. Never mind. I want to do DMT. That's what I want to do so goddamn bad. Acid is fun. If I could do acid twice, 3 times a month, maybe even, I would. I think 1 time a month is what I read. Like you're supposed to do. But I would love, or like the most you're supposed to do. I would love to do DMT. I want to go on that scary fucking elf finding trip, man. I want to see beings and I want to commune with them, and I want to take a huge dose the first fucking time. I see those people pussing out and like hitting that vape, like no, we're going deep. I want to go I want to see some shit.
You don't want to dabble, make sure it agrees with you first. You just want to take off.
Even on 4 or 5 hits acid or whatever I took, it was like the biggest thing with the visuals was things kind of looked all melty and squiggly and stuff. Things like moved, like for sure if you looked at them. But like I wasn't going somewhere else. Like this room was squiggly. I want to leave this reality. Fuck this room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to fucking tear the fucking drywall away like I'm Alice in Wonderland and go to the fucking underworld. I want to see Zeus or some fucking.
You want to see fucking something neat.
Yeah, I want to see some wild shit. Yeah.
And I want to throw up.
I'll throw up if that's the price I got to pay. I know with ayahuasca, which I'm probably.
The guy in our Discord only threw up. A guy for Boogie's benefit, a guy in our Discord smoked DMT for us in our hangouts so we could see what it was like. And the first time was all fine, and you're not supposed to do it 2 times like back to back. And he did, and it made him very sick. So
I wouldn't say very sick. He
vomited.
If you ever seen a kid spit up on themselves, like he kind of did that. He kind of like burbled up on himself and kind of a scary way because he wasn't fully conscious or with it. He was vomiting in our dimension, but his mind was still partially in another galaxy circling around a fucking black hole or some shit.
Dude, spitting up as an adult, like if you while describing that just went and just kind of spit up a little bit on yourself, do you know how alarmed I would be? I'd be like, are you all right? Like, stop the show. Get Kyle to the hospital. He's throwing up on himself. No, I'm just cool. I'm into drugs.
I really want to do that. I don't want to. I wish I could find a legal way to do it.
Isn't it legal in Oregon?
I mean, all of the like that's on my schedule if I want to go that way. So like talk to the medicine man because apparently they're allowed to do all of this stuff.
Is he on a reservation?
No, he's just I've been to his place. It's definitely not a reservation.
He's like, they allow it. Believe me, nobody stopped us all day.
So he's actually got like certification from the state of Arkansas, certification from the United States, like where it's all allowed. And he like,
it's like those Ron Swanson, I can do this.
Like there's definitely.
I got my shaman license, as you see here. Here's my hat. What more could you want? But like whether I don't want to skirt any legalities, or I want to just like, I just really want to go on that DMT trip. But I found acid to be a ton of fun. That was so nice, especially like watching movies on it with like the sound up loud. I loved Fantasia. I was having such a great time watching Fantasia. Like those colors are so beautiful. And then we'd go outside and it was very cold outside, and the cloud, it was one of those nights where it's really clear, but there's thin clouds that are fast moving past the moon. And so you get that weird perspective of the moon, like being obscured and then like revealed over and over. And on acid, that was neat. Yeah. That was the coolest part.
One of my takeaways from hearing this, though, is how you crushed it on the set and setting, which is such a big point. That if people aren't in the psychedelic world at all, set and setting is the mindset that's set, and setting is, of course, the place. And like where I had my good experiences in a bed, scented candle, blindfold, pre-chosen music, weighted blanket. Like that's my setting. That's my cup of tea. Kyle nailed his setting. Alice in Wonderland, a group of friends, safe place, like, and he had the fun that he was looking for.
There was this one YouTube video we watched because I was searching on, I had my YouTube shit hooked up to the big projector, and I think I voice searched like psychedelic video, cool music. And it was this video of like water being pierced by like a craft on water moving really fast, but like a digitized version of that. So like it's sort of like cutting through like the I can't even describe the visuals now, but what it would do is like every now and then when the beat would hit, it was because it would build, and then boom, no, like all of a sudden everything would go up by a magnitude. And it was just every time like the screen would shift, it was mind blowing. And then like I hate to keep shitting on Dirty about him ruining my fucking trip and everything, but like just I'm trying to like focus on this like crazy visual on the screen. If you're like staring at a 3D puzzle, how you got to get in that like mindset a little bit to like see the spaceship, like your Costanza. And I'm trying to do that, and he's like, being a little wimp on the ground crying because he's scared of the loud music or fucking Alice. He was scared of no, he was scared of Mickey. That's what it was. That's what
I'm on his team with that one. Mickey's a scared cat.
In Mickey Fantasia, Mouse. You were afraid of him when he was like doing the spells
cat in the 1950s.
Yeah,
he had the brooms and the buckets like coming up the stairs and everything.
Part, as a young child, that was a little unnerving because they play creepy music like that, and they're kind of like going up that dark tower, if I recall correctly. Yeah.
Oh God, that even now, like if you can,
is that it?
No. I don't know what that is, but like that's what the colors are like sometimes. I still remember how blue Alice's fucking dress was. I was like, I've never seen that color blue before. That's like, I feel like I'm looking at like layers of blue that are deep and powerful. Like I'm just staring at her dress. It's just, Acid's wonderful.
I've never done it.
Yeah, but it's more about obscuring this reality and making this reality we're in as fun and nifty as it can be. Because like, you're very giggly.
From my mushroom trip, I got a lot of that. And like just looking at the moon and looking at the sky and like looking out of the water as dark as it was. The weirdest thing that I experienced was at some point, Ryan is like, close your eyes. That's the shaman. He's like, close your eyes and you'll still be able to see. I know, right? He's like,
Steve. Shaman's name is Ryan.
Yeah. My name is Ryan McGillicuddy, and today I will guide you.
So he's not Native American born. He's like certified by the Native American church that he's part of, right? He has a really interesting story if you ever look this guy up. He's fascinating, but it's his story to tell.
Please do not Google me. Do not believe me.
But he said, he's like, close your eyes and you'll be able to see those fractals still. And I could like
a
see
liar.
the trees, I could see the fucking water, I could see the sky, and I could see Ryan and I could see his dog. But what I couldn't see was the cameraman or the producer that were there filming that. And like I told him like, why can't I see Mitch and Mike? And he goes, because they're not rolling with us, man. It's just me and you here. And I'm like, why can I see your dog? He's like, my dog's always here. Dogs are always here. And I'm like, I don't know how much of that I imagined, how much of that shit I dreamt and stuff, but it was fucking beautiful. And I wept. I was so happy. It was the first time in my life I've ever experienced actual happiness. And I'm like, man, the world is beautiful. And I'm so fucking glad to be a part of it. And then the MDMA gave me the very similar experience to the ketamine that you had, Woody, which was I wasn't allowed to block or defend myself or like get in the way of myself at all. And like he was playing a lot of music in between like the talk therapy, and he put on Imagine Dragons' Bad Liar. And then I just realized how many people I have hurt in my lifetime, either inadvertently and stuff like that. And I'm just like, hey, I literally have no way to defend that at all. And like the people I've let down on YouTube or the audience, your all's audience, I annoyed the shit out of the last time I was here and stuff like that. I'm like, man, instead of trying to come up with an excuse or be defensive, I didn't have one. I was just like, no, it just kind of sucks sometimes.
You did what those teenagers who threw that rock off the overpass did. Remember those guys? Those 5 teenagers? They threw this 6-pound rock off an overpass and killed this family man, hit him in the face with it.
That is what Boogie did.
Yeah, essentially. Essentially.
Identical.
And the judge was getting ready to like make an example of them, and they all pled guilty and read tearful speeches, and they got off with like a year or 2 in probation after murdering that man. And they're on video like doing it and cheering that they got him. And like,
damn, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's what you did.
Throwing a spiritual stone through life. I don't know. Yeah, that's such a good comparison. It's hard to know where to start breaking it down. Like there's so many inroads that are cogent.
So since so many of us had positive experiences with these drugs or medications or whatever you want to call them, my question to you is, why do you think they're illegal?
I don't know. They just, it seems like everything's illegal until it's not.
I have my theory, because number one, the ketamine treatment, finally we're getting that recognized. And if you look, there's a documentary you can watch on Netflix called How to Change Your Mind, which was really eye-opening. It's one of the things that led me to wanting to do this and stuff. And so we are quickly, like in the last 20 years ago, which is fascinatingly fast. We've known all of this information on how psychedelics can help people with depression, PTSD, anxiety, stuff like that since the 60s. And we successfully performed those studies then and then made it illegal under, I guess, Nixon and his war on drugs and stuff. But we're finally finding legal means for this stuff. And like Colorado, you can buy shrooms and you can get stuff to microdose with, or you can get enough to take a trip. I think eventually we'll see that legal in the United States. But my question is, why do you guys think it was illegal for so long? And I think it will all be legal at some point for sure. At least in controlled uses. There'll be controlled substances, but you have a way to get access to them.
Yeah. I mean, there's like lobbying from pharmaceutical companies, because they already have proprietary blends of things that, claim to handle certain diseases, or usually Western medicine's a lot about treating symptoms of a disease. And, they have a lot of power. And so they don't want you to smoke weed for your glaucoma. They want you to take this proprietary pill, Plaxative Vam, or whatever the fuck it's called, and you take that, and they make money from it. So it seems like most things come down to money. So I would wager I think powerful people made more money by it not being legal. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's my naivete. I figured it was just guilt by association. Drugs are actually bad. Many of them, right?
Yeah,
pharmaceutical ones can be bad. Let's all agree crack is bad. Heroin is bad.
Meth is pretty fucking bad.
Meth is pretty bad. And, if I'm Nixon, who's perhaps never even done drugs, does his friends didn't do drugs? I don't know. But like just totally uneducated. I'm like, fuck, all right. Mushrooms, pot, crack, cocaine, heroin, meth. Let's make it all illegal. And he just didn't know enough to be like, actually, these can have their upsides.
He personally may not have, but like there was data like that. We've known for a long time that like weed isn't reefer madness. Like it doesn't make you a murderer and that
Nancy
stuff. Like
Grace
they knew at
didn't
the time. It's kind of like the same
like
way that they'll be like,
yeah,
Nancy Grace, that stupid bitch, like that with all her nonsense. But like, even now, like they'll be like, do you know in the 1920s and 30s, they didn't know cigarettes were bad for you? And it's like, that is a lie. They 100% knew cigarettes were bad for you for the entire time people have smoked things. The whole time people have been smoking things, they noticed like, hey, did you notice that little feathered, little chimney fucking died? It's because he was roasting all day. Like that's like people notice that kind of shit. So like the idea that like doctors in the 20s getting paid checks by the Camel Corporation or Marlboro were like, oh yeah, I choose Camel. It's like they knew it was bad. Like they knew that. And I would put the same thing. Like they knew weed wasn't that bad. Like they knew that taking drugs like shrooms and weed and putting them in the same category as horrifying shit like meth, where like it's very tangible when you see someone like you guys know when you see someone on meth in public, you instantly know they're on meth because there's a lot of idiosyncrasies with meth. Like, and it's a jarring.
Some dental issues grab my attention.
Some dental issues. Yeah. And it's just a horrible drug. Like weed, that doesn't really happen. On the same token though, like it's that old fucking South Park episode where they talk about like, yeah, weed will make you, for some people, it will make you a lazy bum. Like, so be wary of that. Yeah. Like if you're a wake and bake guy and you're not getting anything done in your life, like just because the weed isn't causing a health issue doesn't mean it's still not something.
I mean, everything in moderation. I know coming from me, that's hypocritical as fuck, right?
Yeah.
You know, going back to what you said though, like I do think big pharma and medicine and like the doctors and stuff, I think a lot of it was about control, because what is making something illegal is that's literally controlling people, right? But I think it's kind of like a shortcut to some healing some ailments like depression, anxiety, and stuff like that. I'm off of my antidepressants now for almost 3 months, and that was good money they were getting from me every single month, right? So if you ever when you think about what big pharma and like the medical industry does to people, or just corporations in general, imagine what it's like to be a fucking big fat fuck. Because number one, when you're a kid, they're like selling you Happy Meals and shit and creating like this very positive association. Ronald McDonald handing you a fucking balloon and jerking you off and giving you a cake and shit every time you go to McDonald's, right?
I remember McDonald's.
They literally did.
I remember the hand jobs.
Shit. Yeah, I remember the hand jobs, right?
And then Grimace fills you up in the ball pit. It was horrible.
Right? And then and you fucking balloon up, right? And you don't really know how to control what you eat. You're self-medicating with food, and you're being taken advantage of in that way because you're a good consumer. They love a good consumer, right? They'll cut you the deals, they'll sell you the food. They love that fat fuck, right? And then when you get sick, they catch you on the other way going down. They get your money on your way up as you're ballooning up. They get your money as you're ballooning down, and they get your money as you're fucking dying. I mean, when I look at a fat person now, not necessarily myself, but any other fat person I know, I see a person that has been completely and utterly rolled by the system.
Victims.
Like this complete
victims all.
Right. Yeah.
Victims
I mean, to some degree. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're morbidly obese, you victimize yourself
Taylor,
quite a fucking bit. You know,
remember that episode of Rick and Morty when like the Cronenberg virus was spreading and just everyone was just mutating instantly into Cronenberg monsters?
Yes.
That's what Big Pharma and McDonald's did.
Yeah. It's created a whole country of Cronenberg Americans.